The following presentation was recorded live in Cincinnati, Ohio for CALLERLAB's 25th Annual Convention. This is tape 18, Understanding Technical Zeros.
Okay, my name is Kip Garvey from Fremont, California, and this session is a session on technical zeros, how to make them your friend. In the category of choreography, technical zeros come under the category of modules, modular type of calling. So you don't necessarily need any sight calling techniques to deal with technical zeros. Those of you who are using memorized routines, written routines that you write down and read off of cards, and strictly, you can use technical zeros in your education process, but basically it comes under modular calling styles and techniques, so you need to be aware of that. If you're writing material quite a bit, you'll begin to recognize some of the easier technical zeros when they come along. Whether or not you'll be able to incorporate them into your written material is strictly up to you. If you're a modular caller and you like to use little modules, little memorized modules, technical zeros are really a powerful, powerful tool for you to use in your calling development. What we need to do right now is to start out at square one, no pun intended, and make sure that everybody understands the term phaser, what it means. Phaser is an acronym, F-A-S-R. Is everybody comfortable with the term phaser, F-A-S-R? The F stands for formation, the A stands for arrangement, the R stands for the S stands for sequence, and the R stands for relationship. All right. So, and this is supposed to completely describe a setup. All right, at any time. So, if we want to move dancers to any particular location, any pairing, anywhere, theoretically, if we describe the formation, the arrangement, the sequence, and the relationship, then we can describe the whole setup of that square. So everybody's pretty comfortable with that, right? Okay, how about getting me my square up? Chuck, I know you wanted to be one. And throw the mic back to Nick, just in case anybody has questions. Okay? And remember, the number one couple has their back to you folks, okay? Okay, there we go. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so here we have a setup, don't we? The F is static square. The arrangement is zero or normal. The S is, sequence is all in sequence. Okay, and the R is everybody with original partner. Okay? And that completely describes this setup, doesn't it? Completely. Nothing has been left out. Okay. Everybody circle right 1/4. And stop right there. Is this the same setup? Is it exactly the same setup? Why not? Because it's been rotated 1/4. That rotational factor has not been included in our description of phaser. It's been left out. And this rotational factor, this simple little circle right 1/4, seems like it's a geographic thing and maybe we shouldn't worry about it, but it happens to occur in every single setup that you can come up with. Every single one. Okay? Now uncircle. Uncircle, I like this. Okay, now we need to concentrate on some color descriptions here because we're going to use a little bit of sight technique. We need to know that this is the number one couple right here. So turn around, memorize them, all right? And here we have the number 4 couple. And I'm just selecting them randomly. I could have gone to number 2, but these guys face them over there, all right? Remember them. That's number 4. And sequence-wise, we always want number 1 to be to the right, or counterclockwise, of number 4. Okay, it's important just to know that. All right, do me a favor and have the, without going through the whole routine, I want the heads to just slide over as if they did a lead right and circle to a line. All right? Here is a formation, an arrangement, a sequence, and a relationship. This is a phaser that we can describe. The formation is facing lines. The arrangement is 0 or normal. The sequence is all in, and the relationship is all with partners. Okay? Is that you, Lord? All right. So, we have completely described this setup. Do me a favor and bend the line. Is this the exact same setup? The exact same setup? No. It can be the same setup, but it cannot be the exact same setup. All right? Unbend the line for me. I got to get rid of this thing. Hang on. Yeah. Get rid of this too, or I'll throw it on the floor. Okay. Now, watch Chuck. Raise your hand, Chuck. Chuck's our number 1 man. All right? And what I want you to do here is number 1 man and number 4 man, watch these 2 positions geographically for me. Take the whole square, the whole line that you have, both lines, and rotate them clockwise 1/4. And now do a bend the line. Okay? Can you see what's happened here with the bend the line and the rotational aspect of it? All right? It hasn't really changed a whole lot. And yet Chuck, who used to be the left end of the line, is now the right end of the line. Okay? That doesn't seem to be very important because I can still do star through, square through 3 hands and resolve. Everybody agree with that? That would be a good resolution. Okay, now bend the line, if you will, and rotate back where you came from, which is to the right, for the sake of the tape, those who are trying to do that from the tape. And now let's do this. Let's take the ladies and the ends diagonally chain. Now what I really did there was a side ladies chain. All right, the side ladies have chained across. And now I have my facing lines. Let's describe the whole phaser and see what we have. The formation is lines. The arrangement is normal is 0. The sequence is boys in, girls out. Okay, the girls are now out of sequence. Where's the number 1 lady? Raise your hand. Where's the number 2 lady? Raise your hand. Anytime the number 1 lady, the number 2 lady is downstream from the number 1 lady, the sequence is out. All right? It is descending, 1, 2, not ascending, which would be 1, 2. Okay? So the sequence of the ladies is out, but the men obviously have the same sequence state. They're in. This mixed sequence state is what we call the relative sequence between men and women is not same anymore. It's not same. And write that down, the term not same, because that's the only thing that you need to know. You don't need to know whether or not the ladies are in and the men are out, or is it the ladies that are out and the men are in. You just need to know that they are not same. All right? These 2 ladies, if they were to chain back again, go ahead. Now we have a situation where relative sequence is the same. Now, this term relative sequence means the sequence relationship between the men and the ladies and whether or not they carry the same sequence state. That's what relative sequence means. All right, so let's chain those ladies back again. And do me a favor and bend the line. Okay. Now, does anybody know a nice little get out from here? The particular setup that we have right now is couple on the left end is not paired. Couple on the right end is paired. All facing corner. That completely describes this setup. Couple on the left end is not paired. couple on the right end is paired, all facing corners. This lady, Gail, is facing her original corner, straight across. Dick, our number 4 man, is facing Chris, our number 3 lady, and they are corners. Everybody is facing their corner. All right? How about a clever little get out from here? Anybody want to volunteer one? Can I do it? That's a thought. How about touch a quarter? All the boys shake left hands and pull by. And you can clearly see that you can do a right and left grand from here. Okay? Square your set. Okay. Now let's shift back over to that line again where you were. And this is the line that's gotten by having the heads lead right and circle to a line. Have the ladies and the ends diagonally chain. And the question is this: can we use the same get out from here? Is this the same phaser? Well, let's describe it. Lines, in facing lines. Arrangement is normal. Sequence is, let's talk about relative sequence. Not same. And the relationship, 2 of our men have partners, and 2 of our men have original opposites. Okay? Bend the line. Has the phaser changed? Try it. Okay. Has the phaser changed? Describe it. In facing lines, arrangement, normal. Sequence, relative sequence particularly, not same. And relationship, 2 of our men have original partners, and 2 of our men have original opposites. So the bend the line did not change the phaser. Bend it again. So theoretically, if bend the line is a true 0, we could use the get out here, or bend the line, we can use the get out here. Now we use the get out here at this point where we have the left end couple unpaired, right end couple paired, all facing corners. Okay? Now bend the line. What does that do in this when relative sequence is not same? It even it changes the description if you get away from phaser. If you get away from describing things as phaser and describe it this way, now we have right end not paired, left end paired, all facing corners, all facing right hand, ladies. Okay. So you see, the bend the line did materially change things in the case where relative sequence was not the same. It had a major change, and you'll see this change when we try to apply the same get out. Touch a quarter. Boys shake lefts and pull by. Take this next girl and promenade her home. Okay? And what happened here was when you use the same get out, everybody got their opposite lady instead of their partners. All right? This is what happens to us sometimes when we're calling. We say, do this, do that, wham, bam, alaman left, right and left, grand, and promenade. And we go, huh? How come they got their opposite ladies? It's because we were victimized by the technical 0. Somehow we put a technical 0 in there, which worked sometimes, but we applied it when it didn't work. And when you apply a technical 0 where it doesn't work, you always end up with opposite lady. Okay? 4 ladies chain. And this brings them back to partner again. Can we exploit that? Oh, yes, we can. That's a neat little tool. All right? We can exploit that, and I'll show you how to exploit that as we go downstream a little bit. Okay, now, we need, once again, to have everybody memorize some girls and partnership relationships here. So turn around one more time. These guys are partners with each other. Okay? That means if Chuck is with Chris, he's with his opposite lady. Okay? And these guys are partners with each other, which means that if you're with Gail, all right, Chick, is it? Dick. That's close enough. If Dick is with Gail, he's with his opposite lady. All right? Now, how about some technical 0s besides bend the line? Because, you know, bend the line does something that the other technical 0s don't do. Bend the line does the rotation that we're looking for, but it only rotates things, it doesn't rotate outside of the quadrant that it's in. if you can imagine Chuck over here where he was, the number one man, and I said bend the line, he didn't go very far. I mean, he went from here to here. He still remained in the same quadrant. All right? Any other technical zero that we use besides bend the line, the rotational factor is going to be very obvious. The men are actually going to rotate to another quadrant as well. So what are technical zeros? Technical zeros, by definition, is this. Very simple. A technical zero will take the dancers from a known phaser and put them into the technical equivalent of that phaser. The technical equivalent of that phaser. What does that mean in common language? A technical zero will take the dancers in any setup and put them in the technical equivalent of that setup. That means this. Every setup that you can imagine has a twin. And that twin is called the technical equivalent. And we recognize that twin setup as having the men and the ladies rotated one same-sex position within that formation. Wow, heavy duty. Have the heads pair off, step to an ocean wave. That heads pair off, step to an ocean wave hasn't done anything for the phaser except change the formation. Can we talk about relationships? I beg that we do not. All right? I beg that we do not. I will only say this in an editorial fashion, that if we had made a determination of who's the partner in an ocean wave, this is where it's important to know it. The question always comes up, dancers don't need to know who the partner is in an ocean wave, so why do we need to know it? Okay? This is why we need to know it. Only so for clarity when we're talking about something like this, technical, which admittedly only happens on occasion. All right? All right, so what happens here is we have Chuck with the number 4 lady. He's adjacent to the number 4 lady. Okay? And if you check the whole square, you'll see that every man is adjacent to his original corner. So what would be the relative sequence? Just make an assumption. If every man has his original corner beside him, what would be the relative sequence between men and women? It'd be the same, wouldn't it? Has to be the same. So when men have the same relative partner or the same relative person beside them, then sequence between men and women must be the same. So that's a great visual aid. I can look at this and I can say, as long as Chuck is next to her, then I know the sequence is the same between the men and the women. Now, do me a favor and boys trade and girls trade. Notice that Chuck is still next to his corner, and notice that Dick is still next to his corner. So all the men are still next to their corners. Okay? What's the relative sequence? Same. We're not saying it's in, we're not saying it's out, we're saying that the men and the women carry the same sequence state, which happens to be out from here. And that's all that we really need to know to apply technical zeros. Okay. Have the ladies trade, the boys trade. You should know, number one, that all 8 circulate is a technical zero. That means there are times when an all 8 circulate will act just like a true zero. And there are other times when it won't. We need to know how to figure out which is which. All right? Any time that the men are adjacent to the same relative girl, that means if all men are next to their partners, if all men are next to the opposites, if all men are next to right-hand ladies, or if all men are next to corners, then the all 8 circulate will not be a zero. It will be a 4 ladies chain. Okay? It will be a 4 ladies chain. And we'll come back to that in a minute. So, when does all 8 circulate become a zero? Well, let's change the relative sequence of men and women. Ladies trade. That's all we need to do. Okay? Now let's look at what we have. Chuck has his opposite lady. Dick has his partner. And for the sake of the tape, the number 1 man is adjacent to the number 3 lady, and the number 4 man is adjacent to his partner. So anytime that we look at the square and we say, aha, 2 of the men are adjacent to partners, but the other 2 are not. You don't even care who those girls are, by the way. But if two of the men are adjacent to partners and the other two are not, an all 8 circulate will be a 0. Okay? All 8 circulate. Clearly you can see now that Chuck, even though he's not in the same wave, has his original partner next to him. And Dick, who's over in the other wave now, has his opposite lady. Furthermore, you can see that the man who's on the wave facing out, which is what Chuck used to be, right here, is adjacent to his opposite lady, just the way Chuck was over here. And the man who's on the end of the wave facing in, which is where Dick was, is with his original partner, just the same way that Dick was. Okay, can you do an uncirculate for me? Dun, 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 dun. The daring move. All right? So, I'm telling you that that's a 0. Now I need to prove it to you that it's a 0. Give me a get out from here. This particular setup was arrived at by having the heads pair off, step to a wave, and the ladies trade. All right? Now, I know that you people know a get out from here, so don't sit there and go, huh? What's a get out from here? All right, let's check it. Recycle. Pass to the center. Square through 3. Is that a successful corner right there? Alaman left. All right, just, okay. And come on back and square your set so you can see it did work. Okay. Have the heads pair off. Step to a wave. Ladies trade. Patricia's ahead of me already. All right, and I said that the all 8 circulate from here was going to be a 0. Well, if it is a 0, that same get out should work after we do this. All 8 circulate. And the get out was recycle, pass to the center, square through 3. Now, before you do the Alaman left, let's note something. Can you see how things have rotated? All right? The get out before had Chuck coming to his corner right here, but all of a sudden now Chuck is rotated over here, one same-sex position. He's rotated. He still gets his corner, but there's been a rotational factor involved here. All right? He's getting her in another quadrant. Do an Alaman left, come back, and square your set. Okay. So now, all of this, the neat stuff that you wrote for 0 box get-outs can be used after an all 8 circulate as long as you call the all 8 circulate when relative sequence is not the same. Just have the ladies trade, boom. Then call the all 8 circulate, and you can use all of the neat stuff that you had written for boxes over here will now work over there. Now that's a neat thing to know, don't you think? I think that's a neat thing to know because it's dynamic. The dancers don't feel this. For them, for the dancers, it feels like a totally different sequence that you're doing. All right, so let's show you an example of a sequence right here, and we'll show you the power behind it. Have the heads pair off, or don't do that. Do a touch a quarter. We're going to try to keep everything mainstream here. Have the boy run around the girl. Swing through. You've all been here before. You know that you do a boy's run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through, Alaman left. It's in every singing call that's been written since the Dead Sea was just sick. Okay, so, however, what do we also note here? I noticed that Chuck is not with his corner. Okay? Chuck, I'm just watching that number 1 man. Could I have watched any man? Sure. But, you know, watching Dick doesn't tell me very much. Except that Dick is with his partner, and I know that if I did a head square through 4 or a heads touch a quarter and boys run, that the same relative people will be corners. That's the same relative relationship that I'm seeking. And if I see Dick with his partner, I know he's not with his corner. All right, so maybe that does tell me what I need to know. And Chuck over here obviously is not with his corner. He's with his opposite lady. And that tells me since they don't have the same relative girl, then they must carry a not same relative sequence state. And so I know from this, just by looking at it, that an all 8 circulate is going to be a 0. All 8 circulate. And if it in fact is a 0, I can use that great little singing call get out, boy run, Ferris wheel, Centers pass through, Alaman left. And notice the rotational thing again. See how it happened again. All right, you don't live here, Chuck. You live over here. Okay? Notice the rotational factor that's built into that thing. So the question is, does all 8 circulate a technical 0? And the answer is yes. It is a technical 0. And that's like saying, does all 8 circulate have a big red flag next to it? And the answer is yes, because it'll work as a 0 sometimes, but it won't work at other times. And we also know from technical zeros that if we use a technical 0 in a sequence state that's not proper, so it won't act as a 0, what does it always give us? A 4 ladies chain. It'll always give us a 4 ladies chain. Let's test that theory out. Have the heads touch a quarter, boy run, and step to a wave. Okay? Now what was a get out from here? A get out from here was change hands and Alaman left. Let's make it really simple. All right? You know that you can do a change hands and Alaman left, right? Everybody agree? All right. And however, Chuck is next to his corner, Dick is next to his corner. Since 2 of the men are next to the same relative girl, all men must be next to the same relative girl. And that tells me that the technical 0, all 8 circulate, is not going to work from here. So let's check it out and see what happens. All 8 circulate. Good. Change hands. Alaman left. Come do it, please, and come back and promenade. 1/4 will get you home. Even though the rotational factor was there, the net result is, say it, 4 ladies chain. A 4 ladies chain. Okay? So, chain the girls back, get them back to original partner. All right? Now, before we go any further with this, let's refresh.
What list is that on?
Before we go any farther with this, is everybody comfortable with that idea right now about the technical 0? And you can see that all 8 circulate can be a powerful tool. All of the neat little modules that you've written for 0 boxes now, you can use after an all 8 circulate, as long as the all 8 circulate is prefaced with a, for instance, a ladies trade. And it's just, if you set it up that way. Okay? And we need, for those of you who came in late, I'm doing this for a very specific reason. So I need, yeah. Does anybody have any questions now on any of this? I'm not trying to baffle you with some technical language here. I'm really making an effort not to do that, and I hope that I'm being successful so you understand the simplicity of the technical 0. It really is a simple idea. Okay? All right. Let me get some names here. Stefan or Stephen? Stephen.
Had to cross the river.
Sharon. Frank. Okay, so now our number 1 couple is Stephen and Sharon. Turn around, face the crowd. Everybody has to recognize you. And our number 4 is Frank and Janet. Okay, good. Do me a favor and have the heads lead right and circle to a line. Let me ask you a question. Do all men have the same relative girl? And the same relative girl is original partner. Very good. Okay? 2 ladies chain. Do all men have the same relative girl? The answer is no. They don't. The number 1 man has his original corner, but the number 4 man has his original right-hand lady. So the ladies are not the same relative girl. All right? Important to know. Please chain the ladies back. And have everybody pass the ocean. From what we've learned so far, in this ocean wave, we know the men are out of sequence. We know they're adjacent to their original partner, same relative girl, so the men and the women must carry the same relative sequence. I don't even have to ask you what the sequence of the ladies is. If I know the men are out, the ladies have to be out too. That will happen anytime the men all have the same relative lady adjacent to them. Okay? They'll carry the same sequence state. So, because of that, because of what I've known so far, if I call an all 8 circulate here, what will be the net choreographic result? A 4 ladies chain. If I wanted to call an all 8 circulate and make it a 0, what would I have to do? Ladies trade. Do a ladies trade. That changes the relative sequence state of men and women. And now when I throw in an all 8 circulate, it's going to be a 0. All right? All 8 circulate. Now I know from the setup that I had when I had heads lead right, circle to a line, everybody passed the ocean, that a get out would be a recycle, sweep a quarter, Alaman left. Let's see if it works from here. Recycle, sweep a quarter, Alaman left. Nope. Shock. Okay, what happened to my ladies? Yeah, I know you're there. Girls, go back to your original partner again, would you please? All right, and have the heads lead right and circle to a line. Oh, gosh. Duh. All right, pass the ocean. Ladies trade. Swing through. Okie dokie. Boys, are you beside original partner now? All right. Can everybody do a box and that in a right and left grand? No. Wrong way grand. Box it back. Don't do it. Box it back and step to the ocean way. Okay. Do me a favor and have the boys run and bend the line. You have normal lines here? In facing lines? Do a ladies chain. And a bend the line and a ladies chain. Okay. Pass the ocean. Ladies trade. All 8 circulate. You back with original partners? Negatory. Gosh, sight calling is my thing. Recycle. I'm getting off track here and I don't know why. Star through. Square your set. Have you used that one before? Okay. Let me change the subject quickly here. I forgot where I was going with that. Have the heads, what is that? Have the heads lead right and circle to a line. There you go, getting good at that one. Do a touch a quarter. Column circulate. And column circulate. Okay. The technical 0 must bring you back to the same phaser. And if it doesn't bring you back to the same arrangement and the same formation, you don't have a 0. And that's why I was getting screwed up there. All right? If you do a column circulate once, go ahead. Column circulate once. That can be a technical 0. But you must do it twice in order to return the same formation. Same arrangement. Circulate again. All right? This is the same arrangement right here. Boys run around the girl. Can you do an Alaman left here? Alaman left. Come on back and square it. All right, great. Thank you. Have the heads lead right and circle to a line. They're getting good at that. In facing lines, we have the following technical 0s. Bend the line. Don't do it. We've already seen. When relative sequence is the same, bend the line will act as a 0. What about when relative sequence is not the same? Ladies chain. Here is, go ahead please. And this is a situation where relative sequence is not the same. How can we spot that? We can spot that because the men are looking at their partners across the hall. And if the partners are not adjacent to them, then the relative sequence is not going to be the same. Okay? How about a technical zero from here? I'm going to give you one, and here it is. Don't do the sequence, okay, please? The sequence is ladies chain, bend the line, and ladies chain. Now let's think about that. The sequence is ladies chain, bend the line, and ladies chain. That's going to be a technical zero. How is it different from the technical zero of just bend the line? Because it does a four-ladies chain. So it negates the four-lady chain factor if you use a bend the line in the wrong sequence state. All right? This would be the wrong sequence state to use a bend the line in. We can bend the line, they can do it. That's not the point. The point is if they do a bend the line, it's not going to be a zero. Okay? How can we, and if we use the bend the line in the wrong sequence state, what's the net effect? A four-ladies chain effect, isn't it? We'll end up with a four-ladies chain problem. So what we're going to do is eliminate that problem right off the bat. Two ladies chain. Now this is terrible flow. You would never call it this way. All right, but this is just for an example. Bend the line and two ladies chain. Now the bend the line will in fact act as a zero because we've included a four ladies chain. Anytime that you can chain two of the girls in one direction, then you chain two of the girls in the other direction, you've done a four ladies chain. Okay? And this, in fact, will now work as a technical zero. So whatever the get out we would have used from there will now work from here. All right, do me a favor and square your set. And have the heads lead right and circle to a line. Oh, great idea. All right. In-facing line technical zeros aren't talked about too much, and that's why I'm spending some time on them right now. Let me give you one that includes a plus call. Okay? Grand swing through. Go ahead. Ooh! Ooh! You want to rotate you can rotate if you'd like. Just agree which way you want to go. The next call in the technical zero sequence is single hinge, circulate, trade, and roll. That whole combination of grand swing through, hinge, circulate, trade, and roll is a zero. All right? But it is a technical zero. Frank is still with, raise your hand, Frank, you're still with Janet, who's your original partner, and we have Stephen, who's still with Sharon over here as original partners. Raise your hand so they can see. We're watching the far line, if you don't mind. Okay, we're going to call that sequence again. And by the way, this sequence only works when relative sequence is the same. I should say this grouping, this cluster of calls only works when relative sequence of the dancers is same. And watch what happens with Frank. We're going to watch him rotate. Theoretically, Frank should rotate one position, either here towards Stephen or end up over here towards Jim. Because that's a factor, that's a feature of a technical zero. It ends up in a rotation, one same-sex position, either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the nature of the calls. Grand swing through. Hinge, circulate, trade, and roll. Did you see it happen? Okay? Isn't that a neat thing to know? Now, the dancers are not going to second guess this. You and I know that we haven't done a darn thing. Okay? It's a big old zero. We can take a mental vacation while they're doing this. And as long as they execute the calls correctly, we know how they're going to end out. And in fact, we know that from here we can star through, square through, three hands, and Alaman left. Okay? Now, what was the rotational direction for both men and women? That away. That away. Counterclockwise. So if we call it again, I would expect Frank to end up here and Stephen to end up over there and all of their partners to be with them. Let's just try it. Grand swing through. Hinge. Circulate. Trade. And roll. There it is. Now, where I'm going with this is when you can appreciate this rotational factor and it exists each time, can you see how a technical zero can be used to rotate the dances as in stir the bucket for a singing call? All right, I'll show you some of those when we get to them. Let's do this one. Another facing line zero, technical zero, series of calls that uses strictly mainstream. Fan the top, All 8 circulate. Swing through. Centers run. And bend the line. And by the way, this bend the line is totally divorced from the bend the line that's a technical 0, because this bend the line comes from a 2-face line and ends in a 1-face line, and any 0 has to start in one formation and end in the same formation. So that bend the line cannot at all be a technical 0. You follow what I'm saying? That bend the line came out of a 2-face line and ended up in a 1-face line, so it violated the F of the phaser, the formation. All right? It did not return people back to a 2-face line, ended in a 1-face line, so therefore it cannot be a 0, that bend the line feature. However, the whole sequence obviously is a 0, and as you can see, Frank was here and he rotated over here. So this particular technical 0 also ended up in a counterclockwise rotation. Okay? Alrighty. Can you square your set, please? We sure can. Let's go to 2-face lines. 2-face lines. Have the heads lead right and veer left. Now the question is this: is a couple circulated technical 0? Well, yeah, it is. It is. And it's pretty, I think we've all used this, right? You've done, anytime you have like men with original partners like you have now, you know you can do a bend the line, star through, pass through, Alaman left. Is everybody comfortable with that? All right. Do a couple circulate. So if couple circulate is a technical 0, you should still be able to do a bend the line, star through, pass through, Alaman left. Do I need to prove that? I don't think so. You can see that it's clear. You can also see the rotational thing was built in by the circulate itself. Frank was over here. Okay, and now he has rotated counterclockwise, one same-sex position. Everybody's in the same formation, the same arrangement, same relationship, and same sequence state. California twirl for me. This is proof that the rotation can be either clockwise or counterclockwise. Couples circulate. All right, that's a technical 0. However, the rotation went the other way. So the rotation itself, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, is dependent strictly on the call, the nature of the call. And as a matter of fact, we'll see that when you do a technical 0 from a right-handed ocean wave, it'll end up in one rotation. If you do the same technical 0 from a left-hand ocean wave, the rotation is the other way. And we're going to exploit that to come up with technical 0s for stirring the bucket and singing calls. Does everybody, some areas don't do a stir the bucket for singing call. How many areas don't do the stir the bucket? All right? So this is just going to be neat stuff that you know. All right? You may not be able to use it. Yeah. Yeah.
If we have the 2-face lines,
if the 2-face lines have the same partner relationship, then it's a technical. If they don't, then it's not.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And again, this is the visual thing. We're looking at the men and saying, are they paired with the same relative girl? All right? All we have to do is a boys trade. Go ahead, fellas, trade. And the circulate from here no longer will be a 0. And if you try to use a get out from here that you know and love dearly, you'll end up with a 4 ladies chain effect if you preface the 0 with an all 8 circulate or couple circulate. All right, untrade the boys or trade them again. All right, let's go back to the boxes for me by having the I'm doing a mantra thing here. Ferris wheel and have the center sweep a quarter. I think that'll bring you home. And then have the heads lead right. Now you'll notice in all these examples how I'm leaving the men with their original partners. All of these same examples will work as long as the men have the same relative partner. It doesn't have to be their original partner. I could have done it with right-hand ladies, as long as all men had right-hand ladies. Let's do this. We know that we can do a swing through to a right and left grand here. Everybody agrees? Do we need to prove that? Okay. Swing through. And we can see that we can do a right and left grand. Do we agree? All right. Boys run. Wheel and deal brings us back where we were. Okay. Now, we're going to relate The next technical zero, which is pass through and trade by, which in fact is a technical zero, with our all 8 circulate. Put them together in the same category in that section of memory that you have upstairs as being traveling with the same relative girl. Traveling, moving with. And you can see that. That's a visual thing. Pass through, trade by. Swing through, right and left grand. Go ahead, please. And girls, you stop at home. Boys, keep working. There you go. All right. So the pass-through trade by allowed me to use the same get out of swing through right left grand. It's clearly a technical zero. All right. Have the heads lead right. So I could use a swing through right and left grand here, or I could say pass through and trade by. And what do the dancers feel like? All right. This fellow right here is doing a right and left grand, Stephen, in this quadrant. Okay. Pass through, trade by. Frank was doing his right and left grand over here with his partner. Swing through. Now Frank has rotated one quadrant for his right and left grand over to here. Total different feel for the dancers. And yet we as callers, know that we're doing the same exact thing. Right? All we've done was insert a zero. Very transparent zero to the dancers. Boys run, and couples circulate once and a half. Bend the line. And let's have the sides lead right. Ooh, tricky stuff. And veer left. Have the boys circulate, girls trade. Right. All right. Do we now have the same relative sequence? How can you visually pick that out? Well, I see that Frank is with his original partner, but Stephen is not. And if they do not have the same relative girl, then they do not have the same sequence state. Ferris wheel. And have the centers pass through. Okay? If I call a pass-through trade by from here, will it be a zero? The answer is no. It can't be because they don't have the same relative sequence state. All right? Do a right and left through for me. Let's see if I can bring you close to corners here somewhere. A pass-through, trade by, do a right and left through. And for our purposes, I want you to take the entire set and rotate it clockwise. The other clockwise. There you go. Good. All right. Stephen, raise your hand. You are facing Janet. Janet is your corner. Frank is Janet's partner. Stephen's original partner is behind him, Sharon. So they can do an Alaman left from here. Okay? Pass through and trade by. If pass through trade by were to work as a zero, they should be able to do an Alaman left here. What would happen if you called it? Alaman left. Do me a favor and unpromenade back home. All right? Unpromenade. You won't find that on any list. Okay. And actually, they all have received their opposite lady. How can we exploit this four ladies chain thing, this ending up with opposite ladies instead of partners in singing calls to give some variety? I'll show you a very quick and easy way to do it. Do me a favor and have all the ladies chain back home again. How many of you have used the singing call figure of head square through four hands? Let's do that. Square through four hands, heads. When you get to your corner, slide through, right and left through, past the ocean. Now, I know that I can kill time at this point. All right? I can call some zeros here. As long as I come back right here, I can have Stephen swing his corner, and I can have Frank swing his corner. They're adjacent to corners. They can swing that girl and promenade. Okay? Now, just so I can stick with the pass-through trade by, do me a favor and drop hands and back away so you have an 8-chain box. I can also swing the corner right here and promenade. Everybody agree with that? Okay, that's my singing call figure. I'm going to swing the corner and promenade. However, I don't really want corners. All right, I want to do something different here. I don't want to do a corner progression. I'm going to do a right-hand lady progression. All right, different feel for the dancers, especially the first time around. They're all going, oh, you screwed up again, man. Must have had a bad day. Okay, and I can do that very easily just by inserting the technical 0 here where it doesn't work. I know that it doesn't work here as a 0, but it's going to give me a 4 ladies chain effect. The 4 ladies chain effect gives us the opposite girl from the one we have. The opposite girl from the corner is right-hand lady. All pass through, trade by, don't swing, but pretend you did, take her by the hand and promenade home. It affects the promenade now, and I have to account for that as far as beats in a singing call goes. All right? However, you can see that Frank has acquired his right-hand lady, and Stephen also has acquired his right-hand lady. So using the pass-through trade-by technical 0 in the wrong place where it doesn't work, wow, that's a powerful tool too. Also, it allows me to change the rotation of the girls. Okay? Now, let me change sheets here. Let's see. I need a mainstream sequence that equals relay the deucey. Anybody got one off the top of their heads? Andy. What? I don't want to use that because it's got circulate in it, and that's a technical 0. I don't want to use that, you know. So, by the way, you'll notice that the all age circulate twice, when any technical 0, when it's used twice, is a true 0. All right, that's a neat thing to know too. So if you happen to use it in the wrong place by accident because your eyeballs weren't working too good, call it again, and you come right back to where you were. 8 chain 4 is a neat one. Okay. What I'm trying to do here is accommodate the fact for that rotational thing. I want to do the technical 0 so they can swing right-hand ladies, but I don't want Frank swinging his right-hand lady over here because he only has, in that particular case, a short promenade. Okay? Okay, let's first of all, let's set this up. Let's have the head square through 4 and then step to an ocean wave. Okay? Now the object of the game here is this. I know that relay the deucey is a true 0. I also know that it's a 0 that does a 180-degree rotation. So if I call a relay the deucey from here, Frank's going to end up way over there, and likewise with every other dancer in the hall. But I can't call relay the deucey because I have a mainstream floor. I really don't want to call 8 chain 4 here because I have ocean waves, and I know I can do it, but I'm not sure the floor can. Okay? So how am I going? Let me give you a sequence that I use that I just think is neat because of the dynamics of it. But this will equal a relay of the deucey. Split circulate, hinge, centers trade. Split circulate, hinge, and centers trade. And the neat part about that is it takes about as long to do as a relay of the deucey. Okay? So there's a 180-degree true 0 true 0 rather, that rotates the whole square 180 degrees. The next thing is I want to be able to call a technical 0 here that doesn't work. And I know that if I call an all 8 circulate when men have the same relative girls, it won't work as a 0, and the net effect is a ladies' chain. The ladies' chain from corner will give Frank his right-hand lady. All 8 circulate. Frank is now in this quadrant, and you can see that if I asked him to swing his right-hand lady in promenade, he would now have a full promenade. Okay? Don't swing the girl, but have the boys run and promenade home. Okay? And all I really had to do there was come up with some clever way to do a relay of the deucey, because it was the all 8 circulate that gave me the power to do a right-hand lady change. Well, yeah, I'm halfway through my singing call. Okay? All right. 4 ladies chain, if you will. Yeah. Had me worried, too. And now they're back with their original partner. Okay? Great. So, what about the stir the bucket routines? The stir the bucket routines exploit the rotational aspect of the technical zero. And for those of you who are not familiar with the stir the bucket routine, which is done in my area quite extensively, if it's not done in yours, don't introduce it. All right, your people are having a wonderful time. They don't need this. There are some problems that are inherent with stirring the bucket. All right, that might not be worth the value of having people change a wall. But do me a favor and stir the bucket. What happens in my area is when we finish the hash, the dancers will automatically do this type of a thing. They just rotate 1/4, and that's a stir the bucket. Now rotate back again. The reason they do that, I guess it's just out of habit now. But originally the reason that we did it was a great tool in beginner classes for reminding people that they weren't always heads or they weren't always sides. And has developed into a thing. Now, it's just a thing. The callers have exploited this in areas where we do this by leaving the dancers rotated at the end of the hash call. And they'll finish it with the phrase, "You've just stirred the bucket for the singing call." Okay? So, what we need, first of all, is a back-to-home get-out, something that will bring the dancers back to home and be satisfied that that's going to work each time. So let's have the head square through 4. Swing through. Gentleman run. Ferris wheel. Sweep a quarter. And you ought to be home. Clap, clap, clap. Who's not home? What does that say? Slide through your... Oh, God. Ferris wheel. No, don't do that. Fan the top. Who taught you to dance? Recycle and sweep a quarter. All right. Are you home? All right, so I left out the slide through. Don't forget to leave that out. I wouldn't do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a technical zero into that whole sequence and see how that will rotate our dances, all right? Have the heads square through. Maybe I should just read this. Swing through. The all-eight circulate, well, don't do it, will only work when relative sequence is not same. And as soon as I glance at this, I know that Stephen is with he's not with his corner. I don't care who he's with, necessarily, as long as I know he's not with his corner. Okay? And Frank, who you with? But you're not with your corner. Okay. And that's all that I look for in looking for that relativity is, the answer of not being with somebody is equally as important as who are they actually with. They're not with same relative dancers, so I know that an all eight circulate is going to be a technical zero here. All eight circulate. We insert that. Thank you, Stephen. That made me feel good. Boys run. Ferris wheel. The centers slide through, back away, and they've stirred. But have they really stirred? Well, they've done an unstir, if you will. Okay. So that all eight circulate left me with a clockwise rotation. Gosh, I need a counterclockwise rotation. What's your first clue? I already gave it earlier. Yeah, if we did the all eight circulate from a left-hand wave instead of a right-handed wave, we'd get that rotation that we wanted. It would go the other way. All right, so we would have to incorporate something like Dixie style to an ocean wave in order to make it work. So we can get into a left-handed wave, or a left touch a quarter and then go from there. All right? The other thing is, could you go back home, please? I know that when the heads did the square through and I had swing through the outside too, Frank was standing about here, right? And then when I did the back to home get out, he ended up over there, okay, in a diagonally opposite quadrant. So theoretically, therefore, if I have Frank over here, and then I complete my back to home get out, the rotation should be over there, which is where I want it. Okay, have the head square through 4 hands. 4. Swing through. Now, rack my brain to try to find a 0 that also leaves me with a 180-degree rotation. Do we know one? Relay the deucey. But I'm in a mainstream dance. I can't use it. What do you want to use? Split circulate, hinge, centers trade. Split circulate, hinge, centers trade. And there's Frank, right where I want him. All right? Boys run, Ferris wheel, centers slide through. They rotated twice. Oh, I'll be a son of a gun. Did it? Well, we don't have to do the next tip then. I didn't do the all 8 circulate. What's wrong with me? Go on back home. Head square through 4. God, the people who are listening to the tape are going, who is this guy? Swing through. Where does he call? We don't want to go there. All 8 circulate. There it is. That's the technical 0 that we want. All right, now hinge. Oh, don't. Split circulate. At least I know you guys are learning this. Hinge. Split, hinge, centers trade. What's next? Help me. Boy run. Ferris wheel. Oh, I smell it coming. Slide through. Slide through. There you go. All right. Good grief. And, all right, so, now that you have the dancers behind you, do this. Have the sides do a right and left through.
Where are we?
What time is this session over? Anybody know? Is it over now? 10:15? Oh! I hope my right guard lasts. Yo. No. Sides, do a right and left through. Again. Joint hand circle left a quarter. Now you're where Randy wants you. Sides, do a right and left through. Here we go. Heads past the ocean. Extend. Swing through. All 8 circulate. That's the technical 0. Boy run. Ferris wheel. Slide through. And there they are. Stir it again. All right? So in that particular case, all I did was set it up differently. All right? I just totally set it up differently. I had the sides do a right and left through, then the heads pass the ocean and extend so that my 0 box wave, if you will, and my 0 wave was set up already on the other side. Okay? Alrighty, let's see. I've already done the relay of the deucey one. Let's try a double pass through. This is a neat technical 0. From the double pass through setup. All right? Yeah, go on back home for us, please. And here's, first of all, let's have the heads. What do I want to do? have the heads fan the top into a slide through twice. Okay? And now I have a setup. Can everybody see that each man is paired with original partner? Okay? All right. Now what's that going to tell me about relative sequence? No. It's not same, is it? This is something neat to know, that when you have lines and everybody is paired with the same relative person, they carry the same sequence. But when you're in columns, which is what this is, generalized form of a column, and everybody has the same relative partner beside them, the relative sequence is not same. It flip-flops, whether you're in lines or whether you're in columns. And most of that, by the way, is just because of our perspective. We have decided from day one that we're always going to call a pairing people who are laterally adjacent. If we called a pairing something other than that, like we could say that these two girls are paired on the string around the outside, we would get a different answer to that relative sequence thing. All right? But we're not doing that today. That's technology for Millennium 2000. All right? Maybe we'll have that change one day, but right now all callers always figure pairings by laterally adjacent people in some fashion. It has to be because your zoom right and left through is going to be a 0. All right? And this is the technical 0 we want to give you from this setup. When you have same pairings of same relative pairings in a double pass through, you can call zoom right and left through, and it's a technical 0. All right? But the neat thing is you can also call right and left through zoom, and it is equally a technical 0. So I like this one because I can't mess it up by calling it in the wrong order. All right? Whether I call zoom right and left through or I call right and left through zoom, both of those call sequences are technical 0s from here. All right? So let's see if I can get you out of this mess. Veer left, bend the line. Don't do it. That'll get you home. As long as we got one. All right? Okay. However, if I call a technical 0 and then I say veer left, bend the line, they're not going to be home. Why? Because of the rotational thing that's built into a technical 0. However, if it's a singing call and I'm trying to stir, that might be a good thing. All right? Do a right and left through. Zoom. Veer left, bend the line. I got the rotation I expected, but it went the wrong way. Okay? But remember the right-left thing we talked about? I bet you if I did a veer right, I might get a different answer. No? Oh, okay. What would be the problem there? They wouldn't be home, would they? Okay. So, do it this way then. Can you rotate back home again? And then have the heads sweep right 1/4 in the center. This was the setup. Now, I think I called, what did I call? I called zoom. I called right left through. Okay, let's do it the other way then. Zoom, right and left through, veer left, bend the line. Ta-da! Ain't it neat when a plan comes together? All right? So that's basically the presentation we have here on technical 0s. As I said, this material encompasses about 3 separate written documents. Some of them read very technically, others are full of examples, like this one on Stir the Bucket, and I've only used 1 page out of 5, I think. I also have another document over there that describes technical 0s. You guys want to take a break? Go ahead. Please. Give them a hand, everybody. They did real. Refresh. Here are technical 0s, and they're listed categorically from static square. What's a technical 0? Anybody know? Stir the bucket. Okay. That would be a technical zero from a static square. We have them from right-hand columns, in-facing lines, two-face lines, 8 chain boxes, parallel waves, parallel right-hand waves in the number 1 and the number 2 arrangement. That's an interesting one. I wish we had more time to talk about that. But that's like the head square through, meet your corner and touch a quarter. So you have men facing in, girls facing out. The aspect that exploits is the fact that technical zeros only work in 2 out of 6 arrangements, and those 2 arrangements that they work in can be categorized. So, for instance, we were dealing with right-handed ocean waves with men on the ends, girls in the center, normal ocean waves. I can tell you right now that all of those all-8 circulates that we did will also work in half waves. But they will not work in ocean waves where you have like 2 men on one end and 2 girls on the other. Nor will they work in ocean waves where you have men facing in, girls facing out, or vice versa. So technical zeros only work out of 2 of the 6 arrangements, and they're basically grouped that way. Your 6 arrangements are grouped in 3 groups of 2 each, where the first group is normal and half. The second group is, in the case of like ocean waves, men looking in or girls looking in, either way. And the third group is 2 men together, 2 girls together, on one end or one side and the respective opposite side of the setup. Those are the 3 groups. Technical zeros will only work in one of those 3 groups. 2 arrangements within one group. They will not straddle from one group to another. So I can write a technical zero for any setup. All I have to do is write a sequence that brings the dancers from that setup to the technical equivalent of that setup, which we previously defined. And I also know that if I write one for a particular setup, it'll also work for the other arrangement within that group. So if I say heads square through 4 hands, touch a quarter with your corner, I have men faced in, girls looking out. The technical zero that I use from there is spin chain through, ends circulate once. That's a technical zero. Furthermore, it'll also work if I have girls facing in, men facing out. So therefore, after the square through 4 hands, touch a quarter with your corner, I can do a scoot back. That puts the men facing out, still adjacent, right hands with their corners. I can call that technical zero. Spin chain through, end circulate once, and guess what? Swing your corner and promenade. Okay? It'll work there too. So we have double pass through, which we've seen. The quarter tag technical zero is, anybody want to guess? Ping pong circulate is a technical zero in a quarter tag setup, formation if you will, where relative sequence is not the same. Okay? So if I say heads past the ocean, it won't work. Okay, because relative sequence is the same. If I say heads fan the top, it will work. Ping pong circulate will work as a technical zero. Diamonds. Diamonds require, this technical zero requires that relative sequence be the same. Centers cast off 3/4, couples circulate, and centers hinge. Centers cast off 3/4, couples circulate, centers hinge. That's a technical zero. Okay, that just about completes the session. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
What exactly you asked for?
You asked for all of the handout material for technical zeros. And Georgie will have this packet and you can receive it. Okay? Georgie does not have it here this weekend, this convention. But when you get a chance, call the 800 number or ask Georgie now to put your name on a mail list, and she will send you the information on technical zeros. Okay? You know, I really appreciate you guys coming here. I thought maybe we'd have 5 or 6 people, but it's neat that you came. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you.